What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Heavy Mind Podcast. I'm Teddy Osuna, and today I'm joined by another trainer that I know here at Bigger Picture, and her name is...
Hi, my name's Alyssa Stacy, and I'm a trainer here at Bigger Picture Fitness, but I do much more than that, so yeah.
So this is actually our first time having a conversation longer than, 2 minutes?
Probably 25, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so the conversations have been like just, hi, how are you? And then one was like, hey, I want to get back into Olympic lifting.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of Olympic lifting training. And I was like, hey, let's get a workout in. And then that's kind of where we left it because we've been busy with life. But yeah, I wanted to get her on the podcast. She says she invited herself, but by all means.
I invited myself. Let's just be so for real. I slid into the DMs and said, how do I get on this podcast? I invited myself, so.
Yeah, but like I said, I wanted to get different people from different varieties of life and just different aspects and avenues. And this is for sure a person I wanted to get on here because you've also lost a significant amount of weight, right?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
So, I'm almost a decade into my fitness journey. And I lost about 90 pounds.
Okay.
I lost the initial 90 pounds about way back when I started my fitness journey. So I lost 90 pounds back in like 2016. So that's when I kind of like started taking my fitness journey seriously.
Okay.
And then I lost it within about 13 months of literally just group fitness training. I joined a group fitness HIIT gym. It was a high intensity interval training gym. Shout out HIIT Logic in Oregon.
Oh shit, all the way in Oregon?
Yeah, way back in Oregon. So I'm from Oregon.
Okay.
And that's where this all kind of started. But that gym was basically the catalyst to just the rest of my life now. So
what made you want to actually start losing weight? Because I know some people, they're like, for me, it was, I went to the doctor and I was told, you're pre-diabetic, and if you don't get your shit in order, you're going to be diabetic in like a couple months.
That's crazy.
And then everyone in my family, my mom has it, my dad had it, my grandparents on both sides had diabetes. And I go, yeah, I don't want to be diabetic. Yeah. And then a lot of different factors obviously that went into everything that I was going through kind of made me decide like I definitely need to make a change.
I mean, yeah, when you reach that the near death experience, I feel like, or something that can get you there is what like really, that's what did it for me. Okay. So the like going into that this is it's a long story, but I'll make it a long story short.
We have time on the podcast. You have time.
It's a long story, but honestly, if there's like a story that I could share to people out there starting their fitness journey, or just like, especially to the young individuals, like, cause I was young, I think I was 17 years old, 18 years old, starting this, 17, starting my fitness journey. And like, if I could put a message out there, like, I feel like my story would definitely resonate with younger kids in today's generation. But what made me actually want to lose weight, it kind of started from like my childhood was rough growing up, like super hard family dynamic. We were super poor. So my mom, working 3 jobs as a nurse, going, putting herself through school. And then, it was my brother and my dad, and she was the sole provider of the house and not making a lot of money when you're, back then, like we were eating, I specifically remember we were eating a lot of cornbread from the Jiffy cornbread box and the Country Crock butter, and I'd dip my fingers in that and I'd eat that. Hamburger Helper, just like poor nutrition. Yeah. So I had a really bad poor nutrition growing up, and the genetics on the female side of my family, we're all predisposed to diabetes and all sorts of stuff as well. So I rapidly, I was heavy my whole life, but when I reached about 16 years old, I was like hitting 230, like I was 230 pounds at 16. And with my home life just being so chaotic and, my parents not getting along and just the dynamic of my household, I didn't want to be there. And so ultimately what happened was I got into some really bad things as a kid. I got addicted to opiates. So super vulnerable moment here, but
No, yeah.
yeah, this is a story for sure. But I got addicted to pills. Like I would take pills with my friend. It was my friend group that I kind of, got into this with. But I went to a really rich kid school and I was super poor. So I was kind of stuck in this, like, there was no middle class at the school that I went to.
A little bit of identity crisis as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like I didn't know like what to do, where to go, because like my home wasn't where I wanted to be. But I went to this super rich kids school, and everybody there was doing it. Everybody there was smoking weed. Everybody was skipping class. So, like that was the cool kid thing to do.
Of course, yeah.
Like, and I was like, all right, cool. So I got sucked into that pretty heavy, but that's what took me away from my home life. So like the more that I was outside doing that stuff, like I didn't have to be home.
The happier you were, yeah.
Yeah. And the more accepted I felt by these people.
Got it.
And so because I felt super accepted doing these things, it put me in a serious like mental health and health crisis, and I didn't even know it. So yeah, I was in the midst of popping pills, doing drugs, just things that I didn't want to do, but I did, just to be accepted, until I did that for a couple of years. And my parents, I feel like they obviously knew, but like there was nothing that they're the type of parents that are like, you're gonna learn the hard way.
Oh shit. Okay.
And I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way for sure. So ultimately, all that caught up to me, and I actually ended up getting in a DUI car accident as a passenger. I wasn't the driver, but I was the passenger in the front seat of the vehicle, and I got in a car accident with those same people who I was, doing all this shit with.
Yeah.
And am I allowed to cuss on this podcast? Like, you guys about to hear a lot.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting in this car crash, and that night I actually wasn't around them very much. We were at like this bonfire, and it was a collective group of 5 of us, and my best friend was dating like the town's druggie. And from that point, how we even got to this scenario and situation was we were trying to go see the lights in the middle of nowhere on the top of a mountain.
Oh,
so
shit.
like we're on the top of the mountain, 45 minutes out of town, and everyone's fucked up. Everyone's fucked up except for me. Like I wasn't.
Okay.
The one night where I wasn't actually fucked up, I was just there.
Okay.
And that's why I had this, coherent actual like thought process. But we were at the top of this mountain, and I just remember getting in an argument with the owner of the vehicle, whom was, a part of my friend group. I was like, I can't let you drive us down this hill. I just had this super bad, like, ugh, like I felt it.
Yeah.
I knew something was going to happen. And we got in an argument, and I was like, okay, like if you're not good by the time we get to the bottom of the hill, like I'm driving us home.
Okay.
And he agreed. He's like, okay, well, if I'm not good by the time we get down there, like, it's fine. You can drive. And so I was like, all right, cool. So we all get in the vehicle. Little do I know that the 3 of my friends in the back seat don't have seatbelts on, but us in the front did have seatbelts on. Yeah. So we get to the bottom of this hill. Mind you, it's gravel. Like, it's gravel. We're in the woods. After this party, we're in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and he's driving down the bottom, whatever, and then he looks at me and he taps my shoulder and he's like, watch this. And I felt my heart sink to the pits of my stomach, and I was like, this is what I felt up at the top of this mountain. Okay. And he hits the gas, revs it, and tries to Tokyo drift.
Oh, fuck.
At the bottom. I wasn't around him all night, so I had no idea the extent to which he was at. Okay. But he Tokyo drifts the car going 55 miles an hour on gravel road. Fuck. And so I just see us drifting, and we're going towards this tree, and he overcorrects, and we smack straight, like we go straight into another one head on. And I just remember waking up and I was just, passed out. And once I opened my eyes, we were staring at each other. Like he opened his eyes at the same time I opened my eyes. We were staring at each other. And like he knew in that moment that like I was furious. I was furious. But like I thought I was dead for a moment. Like it didn't feel real life. The horn was going off. Like the whole thing was like something you see out of like a horror movie. Yeah. And then at that moment, like I remembered my friends in the back and I was like, oh shit. So I turn around and my friends, thank God, by the grace of God, are still in the vehicle.
Shit, I thought you were going to say like they flew out the window or something.
I thought they did too, but they didn't.
Okay.
And at that point, shit's just popping off. And my friend's bleeding out of her chin and I'm trying to help her. And then the driver and her boyfriend were so concerned about hiding what they had in the vehicle.
Of course they were, yes.
That they were out of the vehicle, running into the woods, hiding what they could instead of checking on our friends.
Yeah.
Mind you, there was still someone in the back seat, like the very back seat. Like it's a Grand Cherokee, right? So like the older Grand Cherokee, Jeep Grand Cherokees are just like the hatchback, like you open the back. He was in the trunk.
Oh, shit.
And so we go to open it. And luckily, like I was a lifeguard at the time. So I'd been doing like, I could resuscitate someone if I needed to. Like I was really confident in like my abilities to save someone.
Okay.
We open the back and he's he's
passed out.
He's gone. Yeah. And the back seats were like this split. So his body hit the seat so hard that the seat split through the middle. And he's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like taking his pulse and I'm over here. This is like where I had this moment where I was like, this moment right here was the moment where I realized that I wanted to live so bad.
Okay.
Like
for sure.
I was like, I've been spending my young adult life out here doing this shit with these people. Meanwhile, they're so concerned about hiding shit in the woods while our friends are like, I have somebody who's like about to die on me. He's barely got a pulse.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is not it. And then I was like, I'm calling the cops. So I'm the one on the phone with the police. And they're telling me that I shouldn't be calling the police. Meanwhile, I have someone bleeding out of their neck. I got someone in and out of consciousness. And I was like, you guys are just like
tripping.
You're not even like human if you can sit here. Like, I don't give a fuck if you go to jail. I don't give a fuck if I go to jail. Like, I'm saving my friend.
Yeah.
I'm saving my friends.
Yeah.
So long story short, after this entire car accident happened, luckily, by the grace of God, everyone came out okay. Like nobody died. Everybody's good. But after we got a report back from the police officer, and he said if the car was a quarter inch to the right, I would have been gone.
I was about to ask you, like, did anything happen to you? But
I would have been. I was beat up pretty bad. Yeah. Just I thought I shattered my kneecaps because my kneecaps were so close to the dash, and because my friend's boyfriend was sitting behind me, and he's like 6'8".
God damn.
So I had to be up front. But nothing happened. Like, other than those things, nothing happened to me. But when we got the report back, he was like, if the car was a quarter inch to the right, Alyssa would have been dead.
Oh, wow.
She would have been gone. Everybody else would have been fine, but it was going to be me.
Because of the way the car hit the tree?
Yeah. So the impact the car. It hit dead center in the middle. So we were very lucky.
Yeah.
And then after that point, I received a lot of like backlash and bullying from those same people that I thought were my best friends. And, I got paid basic insurance money, for my troubles, but I didn't sue him. I was very much so like, this is my friend. I don't want anything to happen to him. Like he already went to jail, all this shit's happening. Meanwhile, these guys are like, they're in their 20s and I'm 17. This is 7 days away from my 18th birthday.
Fuck.
So I'm not even 18 years old yet.
Yeah.
I know this story puts me on edge. So at that point, this car accident, my friends turning their back on me and learning that, these people were calling me fat behind my back And, you know, these people truly were my friends. And hearing all these things come out after this entire situation, I was like, there's nothing more that I want in this life than to live and be healthy.
Yeah.
And that single moment was the catalyst to me getting my shit together.
Okay.
And so long story short, that car accident changed my mindset. And I quit cold turkey doing everything that I was. I dropped all my friends and I spent the last dime and dollar that I had on that gym membership. And ever since then, I've been trucking and
Just trucking
yeah,
along.
just trucking along. And now I'm, you know, almost 10 years into it. So, well, we're 9 now, but yeah, it'll be 10 years next year. But yeah, that's how I got into fitness. So
see, for me, that's exactly why I wanted to do this podcast, because for me, like, my story is like whatever, like not whatever, but it's
it's not
we
whatever.
all have our own different stories.
Yeah,
We all get into fitness because of different reasons.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was like, all right, I had a kid at 17,
Yeah.
and then I just fell off and I didn't do anything physically for years. And then when I wanted to get back into fitness, I hurt my back, and then I had to get back surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell into like a depression. I was like, man, if I want to get healthy, I just get hurt. So what the fuck's the point? I just didn't do anything for years. And then I was like, all right, I was at a rock bottom mentally. And I was like, I need to change something. So that for me was the reason why I got into fitness. And then for you, it's like, you're over here doing all these other things. And then it like takes you on this other path. And you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really cool how like you can come from two completely different sides of the spectrum, wherever you're at. And still fitness is like the medium where people can go and meet and have these conversations of like, hey, this helped me, maybe it can help somebody else.
Right. No, and it's I can say like countless times over and over, like fitness has saved my life far more times than I can count. And that's just like being a part of this community and just like being amongst like-minded individuals has just it's just changed my entire outlook on life and how precious it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And like meeting that near-death experience, like really put it into perspective on like how tomorrow's never promised. And I feel like I would have been pissed off at myself if I was up there looking down being like, damn, I didn't even get to get in shape. And I didn't even get to get healthy.
And what's fucked up is that you found out that these people were talking shit behind your back. They didn't have the decency to do it.
Right. They couldn't even do it to my face.
Exactly. And
you know what? And they're still, this is to anybody who's ever had this happen, because I know that there is. They're still in my DMs, liking my shit, asking for the tips. And I'm like, it's, you guys will never get tips from me. But like, I feel like it's that, like when you're fat and when you don't in society, when you don't fit into that standard that people want you to fit into, like people are so quick to judge you. But then when you get in shape and when you're fit and you're doing better than them, then they all of a sudden think that they have a seat at your table because they knew you back when you were fat.
Oh yeah, it happens.
And I'm like, the goddamn audacity that you have. It's crazy.
It's also for women, it's way different because you have to fit into this mold, this particular mold. And if you don't fit into it here, it's like, well, then you're not a part of shit.
Right.
You're no matter what, you're fat. You're this, you're that.
Yeah.
And that's so fucked up. Like for guys, here's something that pissed me off the other day. I was watching some shit on TikTok, and it was this video of a dude who was in shape, and then a video who was big, like I used to be. Yeah. And then this girl was like, oh my God, dudes with six packs are so gross. I'd much rather have a guy who looks like that. And I'm like, all of a sudden now everybody wants a fat guy? Now that I lost weight,
you're like, what the hell? Where was this?
Exactly. I mean, I don't give a fuck anymore, but I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like people look at dudes with six pack and they're like, oh, that's disgusting. Why would anybody ever want that? And I'm just like, and now I understand why guys who have six packs show them off all the time. It's fucking hard to get one.
Yeah, no, for real. I think I've only ever seen my top 4.
I've only seen my top 4.
On a good day, I'm like, God damn, I got 2 abs up in this bitch. Like, I'm stoked about that.
And it's once you realize like, oh shit, I put in all this work for my body.
Yeah.
There's no one's gonna ever take that shit away from me.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Like for someone like you, who you've done all the work, you've been through through hell and back for your body.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally, still to this day, every day.
And I'm pretty sure you still struggle with a lot of things that go on in your head, and you're like,
oh my God, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, to name a few, like that's a good segue into the next. I guess a good next little topic is like, yeah, even as a fitness professional.
Oh yeah.
As someone, you know, like with as many years as I do under my belt, struggling with, you know, body dysmorphia is a huge thing. And I remember seeing you talk to Isaiah about that as well.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how your brain can tell you one thing when you're working so hard for something else. And it's like body dysmorphia is a huge thing. And seeing your body change, I think, is another thing. So like when I lost 90 pounds, I was 155. I ain't 155 now. Right, like I have 155 pounds of solid muscle on my body now. So it's like I have to look at myself in a different light and be like, damn, like I can lift hella. Like I'm strong as shit. I can lift, but I weigh 155 just in solid muscle now. And like, I'll never be that size again, you know? And so I think that my old self is like, oh, I want to get down to like how I felt back when I was like super thin, you know, like I was skinny, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of muscle on my body, but now that I've built that, it's really, really hard for me to like grasp the fact that I'm never going to be that weight again.
It's funny you say that because when I did my first show in July, I was just wanted to get down to as low a weight as I possibly could, right?
Yeah.
And then Carlos looked at me and he's like, dude, you want to look like you're anorexic or like fucking on the verge of dying, or do you want to look like you have muscle?
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know what the difference was. And then he explained it to me in like, I think it was January or February, but he's like, dude, like think of it like this. You can lose a shitload of weight, get on stage and weigh 150 pounds, right?
Right.
You're going to look like a stick.
Yeah, because you ate through all your muscle.
Yeah. And he's like, do you want to look like that, or do you want to actually look like you have muscle on your frame?
Yeah.
Look, I never thought of it like that. 'Cause in my mind, all I thought was lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight.
Yeah.
That's where my head was at, right? Where I was like, no matter what, I just want to lose and just be fucking skinny. But then I had this other thing in the back of my head where I was like, I also want to be jacked.
Yeah.
But then he's like, okay, well, you can't be jacked and skinny.
Yeah. No, the two don't coexist together.
Exactly. So the lowest weight that I got to in July was 168 pounds.
God damn.
And
shit.
Yeah, that I was like,
that's crazy.
Fuck yeah, that was at me at 4% body fat, just like
insane. That's on your deathbed. 4% is on your deathbed.
Yeah, but what sucks is, I mean, it doesn't suck, but it's just a caveat for me.
Yeah. That
when I would look at myself, I have all the loose skin. Yeah. So I couldn't enjoy what 4% body fat looks like.
Yeah.
Look at like a Chris Bumstead or any other Olympian out there, right? And they're at 5 to 6% body fat. They look fucking
insane.
Yeah. For me, it was completely different because it's like the loose skin from all the fat and my, again, my man boobs when all that shit. And I'm just like, fuck. Yeah. I had to come to terms with that of, okay, I'm this lean, but I did the damage to myself. So now I have to deal with the repercussions, and that's okay. Yeah. And that for me to come to terms with that took so long.
Yeah. It's kind of like, but you know, that's your battle scar. Those are your battle scars.
Yeah. Like someone asked, I get asked all the time, like, would you get skin removal surgery? And it's like a double-edged sword. Like I would and I wouldn't because it hurts. But then I also know that looking at the scars would be more painful to me than actually just looking at the loose skin.
Well, and also I think that like the way that we're wired as humans is like, even when we do get work done, we're like, you know, we go through all these procedures, we're never happy with the way we look. You just keep going at that shit. And I think that's like, I think this is another good segue, like for social media and women. Like we're looking at females who these girls are out here who are using video AI to literally change their entire, like, their bodies are not the same what they look like in person, but on the backside of a screen, we're looking at this stuff that is so like deceptive. And that's what women are comparing ourselves to, is like this social media platform and image that these other girls are putting out. But these girls who are using like the video AI, or there are girls out there who are getting, you know, skinny BBLs, or like, you know, procedures that you would never be able to tell the difference unless you're a fitness professional. You know, the quads got to match, the hamstrings got to match, the hamstrings got to match. But like, the average person would never think that. But then those same people are out here selling programs on how to build glutes, and I'm like, and they've never built their glutes, you know. So I think that too is like this fake persona that's just out there on social media, and like getting done up and like putting that out as like that's what you look like on the day-to-day basis. I'm like, sorry, that's not for real. Like, to me, you know, my content is a little bit different. My content is like, it's gritty. Like, you know, it's raw, it's gritty. It's like I'm slinging a bar over my head, I'm failing lifts, I'm bleeding out of my hands from my calluses ripping, I got chalk everywhere. You know, like I do a sport that isn't glamorous at all. And it's hard as shit. But I'm not putting something out there that other women look at as, I put something, I'm trying to put the words together. How I'd like to say it is like, I'm putting content out there that hopefully inspires them to be strong and not to look at me and say, I want to look like that.
Gotcha.
You know? And so.
Because I was talking to Christina about this when we did our podcast together.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter looks at social media, and there's sometimes where she'll show me like, oh, Dad, I want to look like this. I'm like, you know, that's not real, right? She's like, what do you mean? I go, they've had work done, they've had this done, and now she's picking up on it because she'll ask me like, oh, what about this person? I'm like, nah. Like,
she'd be like, BBL or not.
Exactly. And then so even just walking around, we'll see random people who have really bad BBLs, right? And it's just, my daughter's like, look at her BBL, like, what the hell is that?
She's catching the drift now.
Well, because she's 17 now, so she gets it. But just when I was younger, or when she was younger, and thinking about that, I was always thought like, that's going to be hard to navigate. How am I going to do that? But once I got into the fitness space, I was like, oh shit, that's how I'll navigate it. By telling her, your body is always a work in progress, no matter what.
For the rest of your life.
It's never going to be at the point where you want it to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect.
Right.
So telling her that, and then opening her eyes to, hey, if you want to work on something, do the work yourself. Don't look for it over here, or for some fitness guy or person who's going to tell you that these next 6 weeks are going to build your glutes or build this. And it's like, no, that shit takes time.
It takes years.
Oh, yeah. It takes forever.
It takes years. The grind never stops.
No.
For sure.
Like, even for me, after competing in November, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to stay this lean. I was like, no, the fuck I'm not. That's so unhealthy.
It's like, it's not sustainable whatsoever to be that lean.
And then understanding, okay, I can maintain my weight and eat and enjoy my life. Because so when I started the weight loss journey, I just went balls to the wall, right? Everything that I know now, I wouldn't have done back then.
I can agree. I can agree.
Because I did all the unhealthy shit that you, as trainers, you'd look at and be like, what are you doing? You're going to like hurt yourself, right? I was doing all that stuff. And that now I understand, like, okay, I can eat at a maintenance calorie. I don't have to always be in a deficit.
Right.
And if I go over, it's fine. It's just fucking water retention from the day before. Or too much salt or whatever. I understand that stuff now, but it took 3.5 years, almost 4 years for me to understand that. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. Nutrition is the vital component to everything working.
Well, 100%.
Because you can never outwork a bad diet.
Period.
Period.
I say that to my clients all the time. That's like one of my main things. That's what I do is nutrition coaching. Primarily women's nutrition coaching, but I work with men too, but I like the challenge with women. Women are so complex.
Very much so. Oh my God. Sometimes, oh man, I've had conversations with my wife, and I'm just like, dude, what? Like, I'm doing all this, and then I'm like, I don't know what else.
I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah, it's hard.
Women are, that's why I chose the niche that I have for training is because, and nutrition coaching is because women are so complex in our hormone systems and the way that we're just wired in our brain. Like everything is, to me, when it comes to coaching and being a coach and a mentor to people, is like everything is connected, body, mind, and soul. If you don't think of it that way, then you're missing something. Because without proper nutrition, then the body lacks. Without a good mental mindset behind it, then your nutrition and everything else lacks. It's like there's like all these different components, which I think is for everyone to, understand. But then when we're talking with like women who are dealing with, eating disorders, and this could be men too. This could be men too with, eating disorders. But, I see a lot though with my, every single one of my female clients has some sort of, eating disorder, present or past, or we're working with different types of hormonal issues, gut issues, just like the things are so complex. I feel like
it's so crazy. I was reading something, and then it's like, think about for men who want to trade women, it's, you have to think about, okay, every certain amount of time during the month, women's gonna end up getting bloated because their period's gonna come. And it's like there's no preventing that whatsoever. It's just gonna naturally happen.
Well, we have 1 week out of the month where we're like actually functioning and feeling like a normal human being. Like it's literally 1 week. The rest is like we're fucking.
You're like up and down these roller coasters,
down, left and right. It's insanity. And so navigating that, I feel like for me at least, like my hormonal issues and weight gain and weight loss and like all that shit is so.
And having women understand that it's not necessarily fat that you're putting on,
right?
That it's just water retention or just some other caveat, right?
Yeah.
And having them understand that is the hardest thing, because even for my sister, she asked me, she's like, but I gained this amount of weight. And I'm like, you didn't gain it. It's just water.
Yeah, it's just water.
And then she's like, no, but there's, I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
listen to me.
It could be so many different things. Like we're talking about sleep. We're talking about how much water you drank, what you ate, where you're at in your cycle. It's like we can fluctuate up to 10 pounds a day.
I know. It's insane.
And it happens.
That's what, to me, like training women, I want to understand it. I know I'm never going to understand it fully, but I would like to train more women so I can have that experience.
Yeah.
Where I can be like, okay,
it's a different skill set.
Exactly.
For sure.
Not a lot of people have it where like, they're just stick to with one type of person, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm only going to train skinny people because it's easier to train them, or I'm only going to train fat guys. I want to train everybody that I can.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Same way, for sure.
How else do you navigate that when someone comes to you for the first time and they're like, I can't lose any weight. I've tried everything.
I think really, I've heard that. I hear that. I think I hear that every time.
Oh, for sure.
A new client is that I've tried everything. And first and foremost, I think that people are looking for the quick fix. So like that's all today's world is like the quick fix and the fad diets and the quick programs that you see that you can just like buy, and
join this 30-day challenge.
Right. And nobody actually has proper knowledge and education around what they're putting in their mouth or how it pertains to their specific composition and where they want to go. And that's exactly why I do what I do, because I think once I sit down with somebody and I look at I'm like, okay, well, if you've tried everything, tell me what you've tried. And, they'll go through the whole thing. They tell me what they've tried. And then it all kind of comes back to the same thing. And it really comes down to the lack of knowledge and education. But also, I'm finding nobody's eating enough. Nobody is eating enough because all these diets and all these plans are calorie restrictive plans and regimens when you can't restrict someone who's already been restricted for 6 months. It doesn't work.
Their body resents it, and they're the one everybody wants to hold on to everything, and they're just going to starvation mode, and it's like, what?
Exactly. So you have to reverse that problem. And so that's the part where I get people is like, you're trying to lose weight when your body's already starving. Like, you're not functioning like a normal human. You can't use what you eat to burn like you normally would. You're just holding on to it.
And then on top of that, for women, that also throws off their hormones completely.
Oh yeah, it flips a 180.
Yes. See, there's so many things into all of this stuff, and that's where, when I started, studying all this stuff and understanding it and doing more research, I go, oh shit.
Yeah.
No wonder I was never losing weight.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, cool. I will like go fuck off and eat like a burger or whatever, be fine.
Yeah.
But I understand the nutrition side of everything.
Right.
Where I'm not going to say I'm fucking perfect, but I at least know like the basics where I'm like, okay, I can get by and help others with the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It's just, that's how I navigate it, is by educating these people and like getting them to understand that this is a much deeper scientific thing that you have to understand the concepts of, or else you're going to run the same circle in 10 different ways.
It's like, I was watching another video that this guy was talking about something, and they always say like, oh, I would just overeat protein. Like, no, or like protein builds, if protein built muscle alone, everybody overeats protein because we all eat a shitload of meat and whatever.
Right.
But what we do is we don't move our bodies enough to actually use it for what it's meant
to create, to have ATP production, and all these things are just components.
And then I think it's funny, but I think it's kind of fucked up when like people come to me and they're like, I don't eat that much in a day. Or how much do you eat then?
Oh my God.
So tell me what you eat in a day. I want you to tell me what it, like, write down verbatim what you eat in a day.
Yeah.
And then they kind of like fuck up the numbers because they want to act like they eat healthy. It's like, no. I want to know the truth.
Yeah, tell me what you eat.
Yeah.
Don't be lying.
What's something that you've got, like an example of that you've received before?
As far as like what they eat a day?
Yeah.
I get a lot of people who are like, well, I don't eat breakfast because I'm not... Well, I don't eat breakfast because I'm not hungry in the morning. And basically that takes me to the afternoon, and I have a cup of coffee on an empty stomach. And then I have like a breakfast, like a granola bar. And then I have like a salad from the salad shop, or, Sweet Green or whatever, which is like, mind you, people, Sweet Green is like 1,000 calorie salads, just in case you didn't know. But
depends on the salad you get.
True.
I was on prep. I got that bitch plain.
I love Sweet Green. I love Sweet Green. Don't get me wrong. But like, what people's perception of healthy is so off, because they have no idea. Like, first of all, coffee on an empty stomach, spiking cortisol, worst thing for you. Second of all, not eating breakfast, also not great. Like, that's your body telling you that your ghrelin hormone is suppressed. Yep. Like, you need to feel hungry in the morning. It's actually healthy to feel hungry in the morning. So like, that's a consistent story. Like, oh, well, I'm not hungry in the morning, so I just don't eat breakfast.
I think it's funny when some people come up to me like, oh, I just have like a burger from McDonald's, and then I have like pizza and beer and wings, and I'm like, you know how many calories are in that alone?
I just have burger, pizza, and wings.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also get I have a lot of bingers. I have a lot of binge eaters at night. And I'm like, is it probably because you didn't eat? Because you don't eat enough throughout the day. So at night, your body's like,
I'm fucking starving.
We're literally gonna die if you don't eat. And so, you're gonna binge,
That's, this whole health thing and eating right is so, we go down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, we're like,
it's so,
we're on one right now.
Especially for me, when I was bigger, I would think like, how am I not losing weight? I don't ever eat anything.
Right.
But for breakfast, what would I have? I would have fucking a McDonald's burrito or a breakfast burrito from the taco shop. My kids wouldn't finish their food, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll eat theirs as well.
Yeah, there's at least like over 1,000 right there.
Yeah, and then no, it had to be way more.
More?
Yeah. And then I would not eat for like 5 to 6 hours. I'm like, oh, I'm starving. I would go get like McDonald's and then eat McDonald's and have fucking dessert because I was like, I haven't eaten shit and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat like this cookie or this fucking donut.
So McDonald's was your go-to, is what I'm hearing.
No, everything was. I just said, yeah.
Like
everything.
Did you have a specific like thing that was like your thing? I have one. I'm gonna share. No, you gotta go first.
No, I'm trying to think. Like okay. I ate so much crap. I just genuinely haven't thought about it.
I still to this day, like I call it my fat girl like kryptonite. Like my biggest thing was like Oreos and milk. I could smash an entire thing of Oreos in one sitting and a glass of milk. Like that was one of the things. And then another thing was like rolled tacos, like the rolled tacos with like sour cream and guacamole and like the whole thing. That was like one of my things too.
Mine would
horchata.
Oh my gosh.
that just hit me like
I would fuck up like so. That's actually what I would do. So there are some days where I would have a alabala burrito, 5 rolled tacos, and then like 4 or 5 more just regular street tacos, and that was my order.
That's like a family meal.
Exactly, and I would eat all that shit. I remember, oh my god, this is so fucked up. One time I was like in this internship where I was doing for to become a medical assistant.
Yeah.
And again, McDonald's fucking ruined my life. But so they had this
fuck you, McDonald's.
Yeah, they had this Big Mac meal where it was 2 Big Macs, 2 fries, 2 drinks, and then like cookies and shit, right?
The whole thing.
I downed the whole thing.
Oh my god.
That was like, I was like, and I would eat it every other day because it was down the street. And I'm like, yeah, lunch. That's what I'm gonna have. And I was
like the deal.
I was like, I'll get all this food for $10.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's how I know. I was like, oh. Yeah. And I think back on it, I'm like, damn, what was I doing to myself? Just not caring about anything health whatsoever.
It's just the lack of education and knowledge. Like yet again, you know, like if I had that kind of access when I was younger, like I don't think I would have ended up.
One thing I realized is when I started learning to read nutrition labels and everything, like what calories are and the energy expenditure, all that stuff, right? I go, oh, fuck. I never knew this because my mom never knew this. And then my mom started asking me, she goes, well, how do you know what to eat? And I go, I read the label.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean read the label? Like the calories, the fat, the protein, the carbs. And she's like, what do you mean?
I'm looking at every goddamn label I can.
And then she's like, I've never really looked at it before. She's like, I've looked at it, obviously, but to me, it's just
crazy to me because that's literally all every time.
Yeah, you pick something up at the grocery, like,
back of the label. Yeah.
And then it made sense in my head I never knew this because my mom never taught it to me. It's something that my mom was just like, oh, you're hungry? Here, have this.
Yeah.
Hungry? Here, just eat this.
Yeah.
Because my mom she worked 3 jobs when I was a kid. She came here from Guatemala and pregnant with me, and then she had me 6 months after she got here, whatever. And while she was working, she would have to go like run around, pick me up from school, all this stuff. So for her to see me eat something was her way of showing like, okay, he's okay. He has something.
Yeah.
She didn't have the time to cook me anything. So it was like, what do you want? Doesn't matter. Here's Burger King. Here's McDonald's. Here's the fastest thing that I can get into your body without having to actually go make something.
Right.
And that mentality stuck with me because that's all I knew. Yeah. So switching my mind into like, oh, you can actually prepare things for yourself. It doesn't take that much more time than
right.
But that's where my mind, when I thought about it and I started going through like all of these things, oh, fuck, that's what you need to change. Your perspective on what it is you're doing and kind of think back to your upbringing because that has a lot to do with it.
It's everything, yeah. Well, I've had a few people ask me like when I tell my story, because you know everything starts from childhood and all that. Like if I resent my parents, and I'm like absolutely not, because I mean my mom and my dad still cooked, like they still cooked us meals, you know, but the majority, you know, wasn't healthy, but they still cooked. But in my in my mind is like, I think that looking back, like my mom and my dad, they were just trying to do the best they could.
Exactly.
You know, they were just trying to feed me. They're trying to make sure I had food in my belly, and that's all they knew, and that's all they could do, and that's fine. You know, like I would never resent my parents for that.
Yeah, something that as that happened, and I kind of realized like, oh shit, my mom was just doing, like you said, doing the best that she could, right? She, like, time went on, and she was able to start cooking for me, and she got a better job, and things, you know, started getting better for us. And now that I think back on certain moments when she started cooking more,
Yeah.
I would resent that and push it away. I'm like, oh, that's nasty. Why would I eat that? So now it's funny because I used to hate soup. And my mom loves eating soup. That's just her thing. Doesn't matter how hot it is outside. Her thing is like a hot bowl of soup.
Well, I love my soup.
Yeah. So now my thing is whenever she makes a bowl of soup, it doesn't matter what I'm going through. I'm going to eat her soup because one day I'm not going to be able to eat her soup that she made.
Oh, that hits. Yeah. That hits. Oh, that makes my heart. That makes my heart like, life is so precious. And I think that, I would never resent my parents for like my upbringing because, hey, like I'm here.
Yeah.
And I turned out to be somewhat fucking decent, you know, like I figured it out. I figured it out. And like I said in the beginning of this podcast, my parents said, you're going to learn the hard way. And I learned the fucking hard way. But now we're on the come up. Yeah. We're on the come up.
And all we can do is do our best every single day. And that's like, ultimately, I'm pretty sure your parents, my mom, she just wants to see me do what I want to be happy, right?
Yeah, 100% for sure.
Now, let's getting back onto the fitness thing. What got you into Olympic lifting? Oh, because that is such a niche that people know nothing about.
Yeah. I'm excited for this question. So what got me into Olympic lifting is I've been working out forever, but I think my background started, you know, with HIIT, high intensity interval training. Then I transitioned into CrossFit. When I got into CrossFit, I kind of entered that realm of like the mental shift in how like tough different sports can actually be. Sure. And I got a little taste of what it was like to be in pain, but come out feeling like a fucking badass. Okay. Like, I don't know how to translate that, but it's a different type of fitness. So once I got to CrossFit, I was like, damn, this shit is really, really, really hard. And I love it. Okay. Like, I'm obsessed because it pushed me to a different like capacity. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you know, I got into, you know, bodybuilding just for, you know, physique training purposes. And then I kind of just dabbled around all those things, but CrossFit has kind of like been like my main hub. And then I got into Olympic weightlifting a little bit over, we're coming up on like about 1 year and 7 months now, I think. Maybe a little bit less, but I've only been doing it for a year, a little over 1.5 years. But I got into it because I was training at a CrossFit gym, local CrossFit gym in Oceanside. And in there they had a separate platform for weightlifters. Mm. And I would be doing the CrossFit class and I'd look over there and I'm like, I was like, damn, like that kind of looks like, I can't tell if that's like easy or if it's hard or like
when you see someone put up a snatch and it just does it with perfect form, you're like, fuck, that looks cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool. But I was very intrigued by watching that. So then at that point, that's when I reached out to the coach. Mm-hmm. He's my coach now, Coach Isaac. Shout out Isaac Cruz and Pacific Weightlifting. Love you guys. I reached out to him and I was like, I think I want to try this. Okay. And he was like, yeah, cool. Like, let's get you in here. Let's try it. Let's see if you like it. So that's when I went to, he had his own little weightlifting spot. He moved out of that gym and had his own little weightlifting gym. And that's when I went, and I remember him teaching me these lifts, which I had already known from CrossFit. Like, they incorporate them in CrossFit. But CrossFitters, now that I look back, they have the shittiest Olympic lifting form I had ever seen in my life. But I was one of them. But I was one of them. Like, I was one of them. You know, being a CrossFit coach, like, in my head, like, I thought I was big chillin'. But then when
the form for a clean and jerk and a snatch is so fucking hard.
insane.
I've tried teaching people that, and they're just like, "There's no way."
Yeah, no, it takes months and months and months and months.
Oh, for sure.
Thousands of repetitions. But yeah, so long story short, I went in there and he was teaching me with a PVC pipe. Mind you, like, I've been very strong. Like, I'm pretty strong at those lifts in general when I got in there. But when I got in there and he was teaching me the right form, I was sweating, dying, splayed over that freaking, like, the bench. And I was like, this is the hardest thing I'd ever done. But I was like, I like how it like works my brain.
Yeah.
But it also is the most gritty thing I've ever done. And from there, it kind of just like catapulted, because I was like, I want to compete.
Okay.
I want to get on the stage and I want to throw like hundreds of pounds above my head. And I ended up hurting my back on a back squat and a deadlift. And I wasn't at that gym, but I was like fucking around on my own. And I had learned, even still in, like, I'm like this many years into my fitness journey, and I end up hurting myself. And it's like, I still didn't have the proper form for a squat.
It still takes forever.
Like, I didn't even know how to properly brace my actual core, you know? So that I hurt my back, and then I had to take a little bit of a break. But then when I came back, I kept telling my coach, I was like, I want to compete. And he was like, well, you just got to be consistent first. And I was like, okay, fuck you. Like, right, yeah. Like, come on, I'm trying. And then he was like, I would go in there and I felt like I was working hard. But then once I actually dedicated myself to it, I have been full in for the past year and some change. And once I started gaining the momentum and getting the form, and then the weights were going up, I was like, I'm hooked. Like, this sport is so badass.
Yeah.
And so
for me, I did it in high school a lot because my coach, he was a weight coach.
Yeah.
He's been a commentator on the CrossFit Games before. I don't know, you probably heard of him. His name is Mike Bergner. He's like a lot of people know him. And
sounds familiar.
He's here in, I don't know if he still lives in here in Oceanside, but either way, he taught his kids, his daughter and son competed as Olympic lifters in like the.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I remember seeing his son come in and practice while we were working out, and just seeing him like throw on 2 reds onto the bar and just snatch it over his head. I'm like, dude, what in the fuck?
The athleticism.
Yeah.
The pure strength, the overhead strength that it takes. It's just it's a different beast.
The ability in it to get on that deep.
Yeah. It's
dear God.
the whole thing. And I think like just what hooked me on the sport was like, I will sit here and say that Olympic weightlifting and competitive Olympic weightlifting at that is not a sport where you're not going to get anything out of it. Like you don't get tangible things. Exactly. You don't get money. You don't get, like, the best you're going to get is a medal and like a pat on the back. But what I will say is the mental grind in the training. Like, I'm training in the gym 3 hours a day. Like the effort that it takes to go in there and train for that long, put up the kind of weight that you're supposed to be putting up for that long, is a whole different type of training. And sure. It takes so much mental grit, emotional grit, like, and physical grit. And I think that's what really just like has hooked me, is the fact that, yeah, it doesn't give, like, I don't have tangible things from it. I'm not a sponsored athlete. I'm not at, I wouldn't say that I'm elite level yet. Like, I guess where I'm pretty close, I'm getting very close to it, but that's what I've gotten the most out of it, is the mental and physical grit out of it. Just makes you feel like you can take on the world.
So you have more fun training in that style. Do you have a lot of people that you train in that style, or is it like?
I don't,
Yeah.
I have one client right now. Her name's Kylie. I actually I've never coached Olympic lifting until I got to Kylie, who was introduced to me, and she was actually in between going into powerlifting or Olympic lifting. And I kind of had to battle another trainer here to like get her to like come over, all good fun, but may the best win. I kind of was like, I want her mindset and everything that she was telling me. I was like, she would just dominate this sport. And I don't coach Olympic lifting like on the regular because of how much patience it takes. Like you said, it is a whole different beast that I'm still figuring out how to, program and train someone for. But once I took her on, I taught her how to snatch and clean and jerk from a PVC pipe. And now, fast forward, we're 6 months into her training, and she's going to step on the stage for the first time in April.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And her lifts she's a completely different.
That's so fucking dope.
Lifter. So now that I've seen her and like I've seen my ability to coach her in that, and like actually how I've been able to adapt and like actually do this thing, and it's reflecting in my athlete. I definitely want to coach it more for sure. It's like sparked this kind of like fire in me that's like, damn, I think I can really coach athletes in this.
We gotta get a lift in like for one day for lift.
No, for real. We'll get you in a snatch.
Oh my god, that's my favorite one. Honestly,
it's so sick.
I don't like clean and jerks are cool, but my favorite one just the way your body moves into that deep ass squat, and then you just sit there, and when you have it over your head, you're like, fuck yeah, I did.
You're just chilling. Yeah.
It's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that in since 18 years.
Yeah, we gotta get you under the bar. We gotta get you snatching.
It's so much fun. Like, if you had to tell someone who was going to get into it, like, you should learn one movement, what would it be? The snatch or the clean and jerk?
If I had to pick, I feel like I would for sure tell him the snatch would be my choice. And like the reason being is because like if that was the avenue they wanted to go into, obviously you're going to do both. But when it comes to technicality in a lift and mental fortitude, the snatch is it. Like it's scary, but any little thing like can ruin the lift for you. And like, for example, thumb tape ruins. Like if my thumb tape is like
you get a video on it. That's right. Yeah.
If my thumb tape is sliding in the slightest bit off my finger, or if my hook grip doesn't feel right, or like my setup doesn't feel right, like the snatch will not happen. Or like in my head, I have to get past the fact that like I can still make it. Like even though my thumb tape's fucked up, like I can still snatch. But the movement itself is so technical, so scary, but also so badass.
Oh, for sure.
You get it. And honestly, like, no, the average day-to-day person isn't going to be snatching and clean and jerking. But if you can move like that, if your body can get into these different kinds of positions and receive weight in those positions,
oh yeah,
honestly, I think it is one of the highest levels of like fitness that you can really perform at.
For sure. Like it's so just watching people how like if you have the mobility to move that way, it's insane.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I've realized don't know how to move their bodies at all. As I started training people, I'm just like, holy fuck, you don't know how to walk.
Yeah. My favorite is like there's like a bunch of memes Christina was showing me on Instagram, and it was like this guy who makes reels about showing his clients a movement, and then his clients will do something completely different. Like he'll show them an RDL, but they'll add an RDL and a press, and you're like, where'd the press come from? But like, it's so true. People just don't even know how to move their bodies, let alone like do a simple squat or like stand up on one leg or
moving your knees forward. People don't, they're like, what do you mean move my, like they move their whole body forward. Like, no. Just
the kneecap. Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean?
You're like, it's all connected. I can't.
Exactly.
I can't move it.
Or even what I've been trying to teach this guy how to get into the form for an RDL.
Okay.
And I'm just like, your hips have to move back. And he like moves his whole body. I'm like, no, dude.
Just stick your ass out.
And then you tell him that, and he's like, but that seems so weird. I'm like, I know it seems weird, but
so weird.
A little hinge is just, it's everything.
There's so many things that you have to do. That's so funny. Yeah. It feels weird. It's like, no, like, have you ever bent over before? Or like, have you ever like, I don't know. My favorite cue for RDLs is like, pretend you have a freaking arms full of groceries and you're not trying to make 2 trips in the house and you have to shut the car door with your butt. Like, like literally like, you got to you got to put that thing into it if you're going to, like, you don't want to drop your groceries. And then people are like, I mean, I get it. And I'm like, okay, but you don't.
I was learning how to do good mornings, like to actually hit your hamstrings. Carlos said some shit. I was like, I started busting up laughing so goddamn hard. I damn near dropped the bar. I was like, bro, what?
He says, I swear as trainers, we pull out the craziest fucking shit.
He was like, this is what he said. It was, oh my God. He was like, all right, you have to bend over and act like you're trying to show your balls to the wall. I was like, bro, what?
That's so funny.
But it's true.
That's so funny. Yeah. I've heard a cue where like to come through, to bring your hips through an RDL, pretend like somebody's trying to stick their finger up your butt. I'm like, where does this shit come from?
So many things. Like even for me as a trainer, I'm still learning so many different things because on certain days with Carlos, like we'll go and we'll film videos, tutorials, right? Where we're gonna tell people how to do certain things. And him just like, dude, you're not doing it right. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? I've done it so many times. He's like, yeah, but it's still not. And like we were doing lateral raises, or forward raises. We're doing some type of raise. And he's like, don't move your shoulder blade. My shoulder blade it just kept moving. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
It's when it comes to like breaking it down to that extent, like when you're like getting down to like the joints, like which joint is actually moving and which one's like still, and like what that feels like, that's a whole different like.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. And I was like, dude, I got it eventually, but it took me so. And I was like, I've done this for over a year and a half where I know how to do a lateral raise. All of a sudden, I can't.
All of a sudden, it's not working?
Yeah. Like when we're going to film it and put it on video, but it is what it is. I was just like, fuck, man.
Whatever.
Yeah, it is. It's so much fun, though, too, just to, like, learn, like, okay, my body's going to do this, but you have to keep it from doing that one thing. Because your body will go towards the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And trying to teach people, no, don't do that is hard.
Yeah.
Because instantly, like, their feet will want to move a certain way. And it's like, no.
And then they're just so, once you got to keep it simple. Keeping it simple.
So I want to end it like this. How do you keep, when you get new clients or even clients that you've had for a while, how do you keep them motivated when they don't see something moving in the direction they want?
I think that's a great question. To keep my clients motivated, the most important thing that I can say is, like, I tell them to picture their future self, like where they want to be.
Okay.
And like they're talking to their future self and who they want to be and where they want to be. And I think that keeping them motivated, like there's a fine line, because a lot of it has to come intrinsically within yourself. And I think that keeping it real when I'm talking to my clients in terms of like how the struggle actually is, like making it so clear and honest about like how hard it's been for me, and the fact that I have a story to tell, and translating that to them and their life is like, look, like I've been doing this for this long and I still have things that I have to work on, and there's still things that I wish that I could change right now, but these things require me to work for them, and it'll be that way forever. And I think when I tell people like your motivation is going to come and go, what it comes down to is how do you want your every day-to-day life to look?
And how consistent do you want?
Right.
Yeah.
because to me at this point now, I'm so lucky and so grateful that this is my profession.
Yeah.
And this is all that I do is I get to train people, which is a freaking blessing. But I still have to wake up. I still have to eat my meal prep that I prepped.
Exactly right.
I still have to train in the gym, you know, outside my clients. And I still have to make the choice every single day to continue the journey that I started 9 years ago. And I think that I owe it to myself to continue that, because I didn't, you know, that saying, I didn't come this far just to come this far, you know, like I didn't.
Yeah.
And this is a forever life thing. So it's, for me, like my way of, I guess, motivating people is like getting them to understand that like there's really never an end to this, and changing your perspective on what your day-to-day life is going to look like and how you want it to look like is going to get you to where you want to go.
That's so true. It's so good. Yeah. Envisioning that for you and then just keeping that.
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah. It's one day. It's truly one day at a time. And now look at it. Like I'm years into it and you are as well. And it's like, I will never, now that I've developed this habit and this way of living, I will never change it. There will never be anything in my life that will ever stray me away from this lifestyle, because I am that invested in.
And that's exactly where you need to be. And that's exactly why I wanted to do this podcast with people. Because for sure, I know for a fact, the guy you saw on the computer before we started this, I'm never going back to that guy.
Hell nah. No, you aren't.
And
Nope.
I want to say one thing about the envisioning thing. That medal right there, the blue one.
Yep. That shiny one.
That blue one right there, I envisioned myself winning that so many times.
Dude, it's a for real thing.
I had dreams of me winning that fucking medal, hearing my name coming in first place. I told myself every single day until July, I was like, I'm going to get first place. I'm going to get first place. And when it happened, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I could
It's just
not
unreal.
believe it. No. Like, and then when it happened, I was like, oh shit, this is what I want.
I manifested that shit. Yeah. And you worked for it. You worked your ass off for it.
Yeah.
So.
It was hard as fuck, but it was all worth it. So if you want something, you should make sure you work for it and you get what you want out of it. Where can they find you?
Oh, in terms of social media, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is liftwitless, LIFTWITLYSS. You can see my content on there. I'm a personal trainer here in San Marcos, California at Bigger Picture Fitness. I'm kind of all over the place, but yeah, this is where you can find me.
And you guys can find me at Teddy's Fit Journey. That was the Heavy Mind Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you on the next one.
See ya.